Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. Today, we are diving into a moment that truly surprised Europe and caught the attention of the entire world. Denmark and Sweden, two countries long seen as pillars of EU unity and liberal consensus, made decisions that sent shockwaves through Brussels and beyond. What happened was not just political drama, it marked a historic turn with deep consequences for the European Union's future. For decades, Denmark and Sweden were symbols of progressive politics, open societies, and strong support for European cooperation. They were often grouped together as moral voices within the EU, advocating human rights, humanitarian values, and international solidarity. That image has now been challenged in a way few expected. The shock did not come from one sudden announcement alone. It came from a series of decisions, policy shifts, and strategic recalculations that gradually revealed a new direction. Many EU officials initially underestimated these changes, assuming they were temporary or driven by domestic politics. They were wrong. At the heart of this historic turn lies a fundamental question. Can the European Union remain united when its most reliable members begin to openly challenge shared assumptions? Denmark and Sweden forced the EU to confront this question head-on. One of the biggest surprises was how firm and unapologetic these countries became. In the past, Nordic states were known for compromise and consensus building. This time, they drew clear red lines and defended them strongly, even when facing criticism from Brussels. Migration policy played a central role in this shift. Denmark, in particular, adopted one of the toughest immigration stances in Europe. This was not symbolic. It included real legal changes, strict enforcement, and a clear message that the old approach was over. Sweden's transformation was even more dramatic. For years, Sweden had been praised as the most welcoming country for migrants in Europe. That reputation collapsed almost overnight as Stockholm introduced stricter controls, tougher asylum rules, and stronger policing measures. What shocked the EU was not just the policies themselves, it was the language used to justify them. Danish and Swedish leaders openly questioned whether EU-wide migration frameworks were realistic or fair to frontline states and high-receiving countries. This directly challenged the European Commission's narrative. Brussels had long promoted collective responsibility and shared solutions. Denmark and Sweden responded by saying that shared solutions had failed them. The reaction across Europe was mixed. Some countries quietly applauded, others were alarmed. Southern states felt abandoned, while Eastern European governments felt vindicated after years of criticism for similar positions. This shift reshaped alliances within the EU. Denmark and Sweden found themselves closer to countries they once criticized. The political map of Europe subtly but clearly changed. Security concerns also played a major role. Rising crime, gang violence, and social fragmentation became central issues in both countries. Leaders argued that ignoring these problems for ideological reasons had been a mistake. Sweden's internal security debate was especially intense. Gang-related shootings and organized crime reached levels previously unthinkable in a Nordic society. The government framed its policy shift as a matter of national survival. Denmark echoed similar concerns, emphasizing social cohesion and the protection of welfare systems. The argument was simple but powerful. Without control, the system would collapse. The EU was not prepared for such blunt reasoning from these countries. For years, similar arguments were dismissed as populist or extremist when raised elsewhere. Hearing them from Denmark and Sweden changed the tone of the debate. Another major shock came in the area of sovereignty. Both countries began pushing back against what they described as EU overreach. They questioned whether Brussels had the right to dictate sensitive domestic policies. This was especially sensitive because Denmark and Sweden were never considered Eurosceptic in the traditional sense. Their challenge was more nuanced but no less serious. They did not call for leaving the EU. Instead, they demanded a rebalancing of power. That made their position harder to dismiss and more dangerous for the EU's centralized vision. Defense and security cooperation added another layer to this historic turn. With rising tensions in Europe, especially after major geopolitical crises, Denmark and Sweden reassessed their strategic priorities. Sweden's path toward deeper military alignment, including breaking long-standing traditions, sent a strong signal. It showed that even neutral or semi-neutral countries were willing to abandon old principles under pressure. Denmark also moved decisively, increasing defense spending and supporting stronger regional security frameworks. These moves were not always perfectly aligned with EU defense ambitions. Once again, the message was clear. National interest comes first. The EU found itself reacting rather than leading. Policies that were once shaped in Brussels were now being reshaped in Copenhagen and Stockholm. This shift exposed deeper cracks within the European project. The idea that values alone could hold the EU together was challenged by reality. Security, identity, and public trust proved stronger forces. Public opinion played a crucial role. Voters in both Denmark and Sweden supported tougher policies, even when international media criticized them. Democratic legitimacy. Gave leaders confidence to resist EU pressure. This created an uncomfortable situation for Brussels. Criticizing democratically elected governments risked appearing anti-democratic. Staying silent risked losing control of the narrative. The economic dimension cannot be ignored either. Both countries are net contributors to the EU budget. Their willingness to challenge EU policies carried real financial weight. Quietly, EU officials worried about a domino effect. If Denmark and Sweden could openly push back, why not others? The authority of EU institutions suddenly looked less absolute. Eastern European states watched closely. Many felt that standards were being applied selectively in the past. Now, when Nordic countries adopted similar positions, the reaction was far more cautious. This perception of double standards deepened divisions within the Union. Trust, once lost, is hard to rebuild. The historic nature of this turn lies not in rebellion, but in normalization. Positions once considered unacceptable became mainstream when adopted by respected members. Media narratives shifted accordingly. What was once framed as extremism became framed as pragmatism. That change alone altered EU politics. Denmark and Sweden did not act recklessly. Their moves were calculated, gradual, and legally grounded. That made them difficult to challenge in court or through EU mechanisms. This strategic approach frustrated Brussels. There was no single decision to overturn, no dramatic violation to punish. Instead, the EU faced a slow erosion of its influence. The long-term consequences are still unfolding. One possible outcome is a more flexible EU, where national differences are openly accepted. Another is a weaker EU, unable to enforce common rules. Denmark and Sweden argue they are saving the EU from itself. Critics argue they are undermining its foundations. Both sides believe they are defending Europe. This tension defines the current moment. What makes this turn historic is the symbolism. When the moral compass of the EU changes direction, everyone feels it. Smaller states now question whether they must follow Brussels at all costs. Larger states reassess how much authority the EU truly holds. The idea of a single European path looks less realistic than ever. Yet, this moment also offers clarity. It forces an honest conversation about what the EU is and what it can realistically be. Denmark and Sweden did not destroy European unity. They exposed its limits. Whether this leads to reform or fragmentation remains uncertain. What is clear is that Europe after this shock is not the same as before. The old assumptions no longer hold. The future of the EU will be shaped not just by ideals, but by hard choices, national realities, and political courage. Denmark and Sweden made their choice. Now Europe must respond.